Good afternoon and welcome to the Developer Show, a program where we showcase up-and-coming developments, talk investments, and how you can find yourself brewing a delicious morning coffee in the stunning Aurora. My name is Chad and I'll be your host. And today we're joined by Devin Bruff, who is the Head of Developments at Everitt Developments. Devin, you and I have quite a storied history together, both inside and outside of work. We both share quite a big passion for horses, and you're an accomplished rider in your own right. But today we are not talking about an equestrian estate. Today we're talking about luxurious living in Sandton. So will you take us through a little bit of Aurora?
100%. So Chad, first of all, thank you very much for having me on your show. Our partnership with private property goes back from the inception of our business. And without you guys, we wouldn't be growing to the size that we're at right now. So just a little bit of insight into Aurora. Right now, the market is buzzing, but it's buzzing below the 5 million Rand mark. You have a lot of executives who, for the first time since the 70s, with such a low interest rate, it now makes more sense to purchase than it does to actually rent a property. And Aurora was launched at the perfect timing. We launched 3 weeks before we went into lockdown. And in lockdown, we sold out phase one. And this is really testament to the 3 Ps that I look for in a property, which are position, product, and price. And just to go through those 3 Ps, from a position perspective, Aurora is 4.5 kilometers away from Sandton CBD. It's in Hurlingham enclosure, where there's only one way in and out of the suburb, which is through a 24-hour guarded and boomed entrance access control. So from a safety perspective, it ticks all of the boxes. And that's one thing that South Africans are really looking for, is safety. It's the only development site in the suburb. The rest of the suburb is built up. It's a 10,000 square site. You've got a beautiful river that runs along the front of the property. So half of the units are river facing, half are road facing. And if you look up towards the east, you just see the glorious Sandton skyrise, the skyline in the distance. So morning and evening, you feel like you're in the city, but you're out the city because you're just surrounded by trees and nature. So from a position perspective, an executive who needs to be at work in Sandton CBD at 9 a.m. can leave his home at 5 to 9 and still be there on time. Then we go to product. So there's an overtrade at the moment in Sandton CBD when it comes to apartments. There are so many new apartment blocks springing up. So you've got, next to Benmore Shopping Centre, 1,200 units coming online in the next 6 to 9 months. So what's been happening in the Sandton CBD is steadily the rental price points have been coming down. So a 2-bedroom traditionally was sitting at about 28,000 Rand for a luxury apartment. Now that 28,000 has come down to about 20, if not 18 in some buildings. So people are starting to want a bit more space. And especially after COVID-19 and lockdown, people are realizing they want a patch of lawn and they don't really want people on top of them or underneath them. So a product like Aurora is a sectional title duplex, means that you've got nobody above you, you're adjoining wall with one neighbor, but you have your own garden. So from a product perspective, it ticks all the boxes. And then from a price perspective, this is why we sold out during lockdown. So you can purchase a 2-bedroom in Aurora from as little as 2.9 million Rand. And if we now relate that back to a rental, you could probably rent that property out at anywhere from 24 to 26,000 Rand per month. So almost netting probably an 8.5 to 9% yield, which in the luxury sector is a really strong yield. Then your 3 or 4 bedroom configurations, you can pick up anywhere from 3.6 million going up. And the key with Aurora is you choose your stand and then you can choose the configuration of home you want. So you can choose a double garage unit, and then it's your choice whether you want it to be a 2-bedroom with pajama lounge, 3-bed, 2-bathroom, 3-bed all en suite, 3-bed with a pajama lounge, or a 4-bedroom configuration. And the sizes go up incrementally. So from 199 squares to 212 squares to 226 is the biggest model. So it gives the buyer so much flexibility that if they're at the 3.6 million price point, they can purchase the 3-bed, 2-bath. But if they want to upspec and go up to about 4.5, they can go with a 3-bed with pajama lounge, with a rooftop terrace and a pool and a 50 or 60 square meter garden. So position, product, price ticks all the boxes. And that's why we sold out phase one in lockdown.
think that's definitely an impressive feat. And talking about this development here, and we touched on the units, we touched on the location. So I actually wanted to ask you, what is your favorite feature of this development?
So interestingly, my favorite feature is actually the developer. And when you're buying off plan, you have to make sure that you are buying from a reputable developer who's actually going to deliver a quality product. So Gelding Construction, who are both the contractor and the developer for Aurora, that makes a big difference, because ultimately when you buy from a developer, the developer often outsources the contracting to a third party. And as the buyer, you're paying a double markup, a double margin, a double profit, because the developer needs to make a profit, the contractor needs to make a profit. So with Gelding being the developer and the contractor, you're only paying one set of profit margin, which is why the price is at such a good level. But also Gelding, Nick Lambrakis is the project manager. So you've got a real Mediterranean craftsman delivering the goods. So you're not dealing with somebody who's going to cut corners. You've actually got guys who take such pride in what they do. They've done over 250 luxury homes across Stain City, Waterfall Estate. A lot of their projects end up in Visi Magazine, in Homeowner. So my favorite part is that there is absolute certainty that what you see is absolutely what you're going to get. And then the views of Sandton, like being in nature, you're in the city, but you're surrounded by wildlife, well, wildlife being the greenery, and you've got a river running alongside the front of the property. It's almost like living on Beach Road in Sea Point, where you've just got that constant sound of the water. And that 4.5 Ks away from Sandton City, for me, that's priceless.
It sounds absolutely incredible. We spoke a bit about the price point, and you also mentioned something very interesting, is that the rental market in Sandton has slowly been decreasing in the possible rental income there. So how would you position this development in terms of somebody looking at it as an investment?
Sure. So I just want to qualify what I said, because what I said is that in the apartment category, because you've got to look at the product. So there's an undersupply of duplexes, because ultimately families, maybe it's two executives who are recently married, or maybe there's the first baby that's on the way. They are moving out of the traditional apartment model and they're wanting a bit more space. So the sectional title duplex is kind of the next step before you then go up to a cluster where you'd have 420 squares, you know, with a bigger size under roof. But now with a cluster model, especially if it's freehold, you're looking at a lot of maintenance. You've got to tend to the garden. There's a lot of maintenance and upkeep issues. Whereas in a sectional title duplex scheme, you pay a levy, and that levy looks after the gardens or the common areas. The levy also covers building insurance for any structural damage. So it's as simplistic living as being in an apartment, but you've got your own garden and you've got a lot more space. So from an investment perspective, if somebody had the option of renting an 80 square meter luxury apartment in Sandton CBD at a 25,000 Rand per month price point, or for the same 25,000 Rand, they could rent a 3-bedroom or a 2-bedroom duplex just 4.5 kilometers outside of the city, which means their travel time is only 5 or 10 minutes. It's a pretty logical progression that people would opt for the duplex model from a rental. So for investors, especially the 2 beds at 2.9 million, you're looking at getting very close to 10% gross, or like an 8.5% net yield on Aurora. Then we also look at resales, because there are no development sites in the suburb in Hurlingham enclosure. And if we jump to a suburb like Bryanston, the problem there is you've got so many developments, you've got so many rezoning applications and sites that there's constantly going to be new stock coming onto the market. So in 3 or 5 years' time, you don't know if you're going to get a big capital appreciation on your product, because consumers could opt just to buy something that's brand new. Whereas in Hurlingham enclosure, because there are no more development sites, ultimately Aurora is going to be the freshest, newest product, even in 3 or 5 years' time. So you're always going to be able to capitalize on a strong appreciation.
So with space being such a premium and Aurora offering that, you've got that unique selling point and obviously that unique investment point.
Absolutely. And that's
Yes, you're saying, sorry?
No, I was just saying that the key is always looking for a suburb where you've got higher demand and less supply of units. That is always the key for any investment, is you're looking at a high demand but a very low supply, and then you can never go wrong when it comes to your property purchase.
I agree 100%. If we move now into the units, what kind of flexibility, we did touch on it in terms of customization, is there? And also, what kind of add-ons can customers opt for when they decide to buy into Aurora?
That's such a great question. And often you've got two choices with a developer. You can take it or you can leave it. So with Aurora, we really wanted to put the power in the buyer's hands. So at Aurora, aside from choosing the configuration, so whether you want 2 bedrooms, pajama lounge, no pajama lounge, 3 beds or 4 beds, you can right now, they are 1 month away from laying foundations. So the site is busy being cleared. Obviously, during COVID, we couldn't go ahead with the build. So instead of it being a December delivery this year, it was going to be delivered December 2020. It's now shifted out to 1st of March 2021. So the only delay that we've had on site is the 3 months that we were in lockdown, and mainly because plans could not be submitted to City Council. So now with that out the way, they're clearing the site as we speak. Next month, they start with the foundation. So there's a 1 month window now for purchasers where they can still make alterations internally and they can actually shift walls. So for example, if someone doesn't want such a big pajama lounge, you could say make that pajama lounge smaller or take it out completely and increase the size of the main bedroom by another 20 square meters. That can all now be done. And once the deal is secured, so once there is a deposit and a bond in place, they're happy to change the internal specifications. Then there's a long list. And here, if somebody just wanted an entry-level 3-bedroom at 3.6 million Rand, they could purchase that stock standard unit, and it would be a beautiful home. And it comes complete with your kitchens, all your finishes, everything is in. So there's nothing that's left out. However, if you wanted to go to town, which a lot of buyers have, some buyers have upspec their homes. The most expensive home in Aurora sold for 5.9 million Rand. Bond is approved, it's a secured deal. And in that case, the client went with every perceivable extra. A rooftop terrace, so a 30 square meter rooftop terrace, which would essentially be on the 2nd floor. So as you go upstairs, you go up another set of stairs. And here you've got a beautiful terrace with a braai area, with a seating area where you can have beautiful views of the Sandton CBD. You can add a swimming pool, you can add cupboard space. All of the main bedrooms have a feature wall. You can put extra cupboards behind the feature wall to almost create a walk-in closet. You can upspec from tiling to laminate flooring. One buyer has chosen to do a polished epoxy resin floor on the ground floor because he wants the industrial look. So wherever your imagination can go, the development manager will sit with you, upspec your unit. So if you don't want to choose between the standard spec, which is still an incredible spec where you get to choose between light, dark, and a gray kind of in between for everything, your cupboards, your tiles, your sanitary ware, your cupboard finishes. If you want to go completely all out to make it a custom space, there is flexibility to do that. If you don't like the tile and we say, hey, that's a 200 Rand per square meter tile, we're purchasing from Tiletoria, you can go have a look and choose your own tile. And if you want to upspec to a terrazzo tile instead, you can absolutely do that. So it's one of the only developments that we're working on where there's so much flexibility, because most developers, they're like, this is the spec, you either take it, you leave it, or you can only spec colors. So for anybody who wants to be a bit creative and feel like they're creating their own space, Aurora is key for that.
David, it sounds absolutely incredible, so much so that I think I need to start reconsidering my own living arrangements here. What other amenities are available to residents?
So we've kept it very low key. So the levies are incredibly low at Aurora. On a 2-bedroom, you're looking at about 2,300. On a 3-bed, you're looking at 3,100. So the levies are incredibly low. And that is mainly due to the fact that there are no shared services. So each home can put a custom pool if they want to put a pool, but there's no clubhouse, there's no shared pool. Because also in the luxury end of the market, to be dead honest, people don't like hanging out with their neighbors. They'll either go to each other for braais, but the whole thing about shared services just increases your levies. And most people have a gym membership anyway. Most people, if they want a pool, will put a plunge pool anyway, or they'll go swim at the gym. So the whole key, and especially from an investment perspective and from a trend perspective, people want lock up and go. They don't want to be paying excessive levies. Most people, Joburg is like a pressure cooker. You come here, you put your head down, you work hard, and then on a Friday, you want to be on a plane to Cape Town, Durban, Plet, Knysna, and you have another home at the coast. So Aurora really ticks the box from a low maintenance, lock up and go lifestyle that everybody is really looking for, but still where you get a sense of space and serenity being surrounded by nature.
Low levies really are key now when it comes to selling these homes, because some of the levy prices are exorbitant, and even if the home's within budget, the levies generally now push those out. So it's a really interesting thing to say what you've mentioned there in regards to those levies being low, specifically when you take into consideration the location of the development.
Absolutely.
But on that note,
just to compare, a 2-bedroom apartment, 130 square meters in Hyde Park, in some development, whether it's the Grand or King's Row, you're looking at 7,000 Rand for levies for a 2-bedroom apartment, which is every 2 months, your levies bill could get you a return ticket to Europe. And that's how people are comparing, is low maintenance lifestyle, and now go see the world, go travel. Don't be burdened by heavy levies, heavy rates and taxes, and this huge home that you actually don't use that often.
I agree with you. That is definitely something people need to keep in consideration, specifically when they're that high and you purchase into the luxury apartment. But on that note, let's have a quick break and we will be right back. Good afternoon and welcome back from the break. You are tuning into The Developer Show. My name is Chad and I am joined today by Devin Baruff, who is the Head of Developments at Chase Everitt Developments, and we are talking about their latest development, the stunning Aurora. Dev, thank you so much for taking some time out and joining me today.
Absolutely. I love spending time with you, Chad. We've got such a history outside of property. So it's nice that we're both doing something that we are so passionate about and that really ultimately serves people. I mean, we get to serve buyers, and I think you don't realize like how epic our role is. Like, we are helping people navigate this world of property, and we're helping new families find a home where they can grow and where they can expand and where dreams become a reality. So, you know, what a blessing to have such a purpose and to be serving people every single day.
Absolutely. I think there's only a few things that are as rewarding as being able to help people make the biggest purchase of their life, which is their first property. So it is very, very nice to sit down and chat to you, and the passion you've got around this is definitely now almost seeped into me, which is why I wanted to ask you to tell me more about yourself, tell me about your team, and tell me what a potential buyer can expect when they get into purchasing a home with you in Aurora.
Absolutely. So taking a step back, I come from the television space. I then, in my 20s, went into marketing. So I started and sold a digital agency to Ole Media Group, which is a UK-based media group. After exiting advertising, I went into property. And funny enough, from the age of 16, I used to collect the Sunday paper, and I just used to cut out my favorite properties, and all of them, I've got expensive tastes. So they were all the luxury properties, and I put it in a folder. And I never knew that I was going to be drawn into the property space, but it made sense. So the seeds were planted already when I was 16, 17 years old. And having had a television and a media background has really helped us as a team. So I met my partner, George, in 2018, And we launched the developments division of Chas Everitt on the 1st of January 2019. And because we went with a very digital approach, we went with an approach to say, instead of buyers needing to come and find us, so through newspaper and show days, we are going to go and take our properties to the buyers where they are. So using social media, Facebook, Instagram, and we had a massive success. In the first 9 months of operation, we closed 365 million rands worth of deals in the new development space, and we ended the year just shy of $500 million turnover. We've grown our team from a team of 4 in 2019. We're now a team of 10. We have a full-time digital manager in-house. We've launched a commercial division. We've got a head of rentals. One of our agents looks after interior design. So from a service perspective, we can help somebody find the home, conclude the sale transaction, furnish the home so that they can get a better corporate rental, and then manage the tenant, whether it's on a managed lease or just placing the rental tenant. So from start to finish, it's a one-team model, and we believe in a client for life approach. So if we have a client who comes into a development and it's not right for them, we are very honest and have a lot of integrity, and we'll say, this probably isn't right for you, even if they're getting all excited because it's pretty and shiny. And that is better, because ultimately we want to earn the trust of the buyer, and we are ultimately serving them. So developers are our partners. We work with developers, but our ultimate client is the buyer who is purchasing through us. And we want to be able to look our buyers in the eye in a year or 2 or 3 from now and know with absolute certainty that if they have an emergency in their life, they can still sell their property at a good capital appreciation, or worst case scenario, we can place a strong rental tenant so that they're not losing out, especially given these current times. So 50% of the developers or the projects that come to us, we turn down. And ultimately for us, the number one thing that we have to ascertain is this providing value to the purchaser? And if it's overpriced and not providing the value, for us, it's a no-go. We would rather not list the property. And now a lot of developers are listening to what we have to say and often bringing their prices down to a more market-related level because they want to add that value and they want to sell. Also, we don't work with Bucky builders or first-time developers. Chas Everitt is the 3rd largest agency group in the country. So we've got quite a rigorous process of how we choose the developers that we're going to work with. And every developer that's on our books has a reputation, has previous projects, and can deliver on the promises that we are making to the buyers.
We talk about the value that you bring as an agency, and the last time we saw each other was actually at the Chas Everitt Awards, where you were racking them all up. So if that isn't testament to what kind of service you bring to clients, I don't think anything is. If we move now into more investment and personal advice for clients, is what advice would you give to buyers who are looking to invest into property today?
Okay, so there are a number of factors that you've got to take into account. You've got to be very clear what your budget is. What is your affordability? What kind of bond will you be able to get? And what deposit have you got in place? And obviously the benefit of purchasing in a new development is all new developments are VAT inclusive with no transfer duties. Because even if you're getting a good deal in a secondhand property, you've got to bear into account that you are paying transfer duties. And those fees and duties often come to between 10 to 12% of the property purchase. So if you're buying a 3 million rand home, you're probably looking at anywhere from 300 to 400,000 rand extra that you've got a budget for that often you can't bond. So you've got to have that as excess cash, which means that it's less deposit that you can put on a property. What you've also really got to look at is what suburb are you going to back? So are you just blindly going to purchase where you live? Or the key is doing research and seeing where is there an up and coming suburb? Where's a suburb where there's very high demand, but not a lot of developments that are taking place? And this is how you can start evaluating your investment strategy. Also looking at what product are you going to purchase? Are you looking at purchasing an apartment, a duplex? Are you looking at freeholds? What strategy are you employing, and what is your exit? So are you looking at in 5 or 10 years to sell off your portfolio with a yield? Are you looking at keeping this for the next 10, 20, 30 years? Are you looking at every year adding 2 or 3 apartments to your portfolio, that ultimately this becomes your retirement and you're earning a rental annuity every single year? So it's about being very clear in terms of what your strategy is and what your exit point is going to be.
Okay, and keeping on this investment track, what advice would you give to first-time buyers who are signing their offer to purchase?
So there's a lot of things that you've got to look for. So first of all, has this developer got a track record? And we've covered this time and time again. Ask the developer, what other projects have you done? If possible, go and view those projects, because it will give you a certain level of comfort when you can see the finishes that they've already delivered. And this is especially if they don't have a show unit for you to see. Then if they do have a show unit, often a developer will either put a container with the finishes, but even one better is when they've actually built a completed duplex or a mock-up apartment for you to see the actual finishes. Make sure that what you are seeing in the show unit is actually detailed in your offer to purchase. Because sometimes if you're dealing with a developer that's trying to pull a fast one, your offer to purchase and your finishing schedule might say 600 by 600 tiles, which you are signing for, but in the show unit, they were putting beautiful 900 by 900 tiles. So it's the small details that you've really got to have a look into. And then do your research. Ask around, do a Google, search them on Hello Peter, because the beautiful thing about the internet is if you've got clients who have had a poor experience, they're going to be shouting about it all over the place. So reputable developer, make sure that you're signing for what you're going to get. And then thirdly, I'd say don't overextend. Make sure that, if there are any unforeseen costs, or if you're going to be sitting with that home which doesn't have a tenant for 3 or 6 months, that you can cover that shortfall. So don't expect that from day one it's always going to be rented out, and make sure that you're not biting off too much that you can't chew.
I think these little tips are definitely invaluable for anybody, whether this is your first purchase or your second. If we take a bit of a step back now, when is Aurora due? When is the finishing date?
So Aurora is due for delivery and handover on the 1st of March, 2021. So it's a really nice timeline, because most people, their like rental and their leases will come up at the end of the year. They can extend for another 3 months. And I know with any developer, developers are never on time, but this is often not even the developer's fault. Often there's about a 30 to 60 day leeway, and often it's caused by God. So let's say it rains for 3 weeks in November or December in our hottest summer months, and you've got rain for 3 weeks in a row, and they can't put roofs on, or they can't do certain elements of the build. You've always got to factor in that there might be a 30 to 60 day delay, because in my entire history of being in property, I think only once was there a delivery that was perfectly on time. So always budget and bargain for an extra 30 to 60 days of leeway, but we are due for completion of phase 1 March 2021. Phase 2 will be completed 4 months after phase 1. So all the dirty stuff, all the brickwork, all the dust will all be built and done at once. But then the final touches and the finishes will go from phase 1 into phase 2. So people will be finishing, the lighting, the painting, the kitchens. So phase 1 March, phase 2, 1 October 2021.
Talk to me about COVID. Has it affected the timeline of your construction projects?
The interesting thing about COVID was that it coincided with the decrease in the interest rate. So on a construction timeline perspective, it affected us that for 3 months, we couldn't submit plans to council. So council closed for those 3 months that we were in lockdown, which is why the project moved from completion 1 December 2020 to 1 March 2021. However, on the upside is that with the decrease in the interest rate, now it becomes cheaper to buy than to rent. So it's probably one of the only developments in the country that sold out during lockdown. So we had a fabulous time as the agents. We were embracing digital technology. And I think this is where the whole market is going. Matterports, virtual walkthroughs, using Zoom to really take your client on a tour of the development, using Google Maps, Google Earth to zoom in, show how close the amenities are, Santon CBD, etc., using renders, the layouts, and actually talking your client through. So it becomes a much more personal approach between the agent and the purchaser.
How many units are available?
We only have 14 of the 37 left. So 23 have been sold now over lockdown, and we have 14 remaining units left. All of those are in phase 2, and they oscillate from garden sizes of 30 squares up to garden sizes of 125 square meters. So the key is, if I just look at my calendar and my schedule, it's actually quite crazy, and I just want to show you this in camera, is that over the next couple of days, when it comes to viewings at Aurora, this is where things are like really hotting up, and we have multiple viewings pretty much every single day. So that is what my calendar looks like just with Aurora viewings currently, which is, you know, thanks to God, the market is booming and pumping under the 5 million rand mark. So if people are interested, you've got to act fast.
I can believe it, because it was difficult to squeeze you into this interview. So I'm very glad we could corner you off for a bit. But to close off, so we don't take any more of your time, I mean, your company has had a relationship with private property since inception. I remember when I gave you that first call, when you told me you're starting off at Everitt Developments, you're launching this brand, you're launching this agency. Tell me how private property ties in to your day-to-day marketing and how your relationship with us has evolved throughout time.
Absolutely. So private property for me, that's going to be a partner for life. And ultimately, we compare it in terms of the quality of leads that come in. So on social media, you've got to spend a lot of money to get in a lot of leads, but the quality of the leads are quite poor. So maybe 1 in 30 or 1 in 50 is a good solid buyer. Whereas we know every single lead that comes from private property is somebody who is searching for property. It's somebody who's actively been going through your directory, looking at the various developments. So when we receive a lead from private property, we jump all over it within seconds, and generally it converts very quickly to a sale. So the benefit of the partnership with private property is invaluable. You know that we've upspec'd our accounts. We take HD listings, we do promoted posts, we get whatever we can out of you, and it makes the biggest difference for our business. And ultimately, this will be a partnership that until we close our doors, which hopefully will be never, we will have a partnership with private property.
I appreciate those kind words, and I can definitely commit to you, we're doing our best to make sure we continue taking you as an agency from strength to strength, so you can continue launching these amazing developments like Aurora, and we can continue showing them to our clients. But unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. Devin, thank you so much for joining us. I don't think there's a viewer that's not interested in Aurora after we've spoken about it. Your enthusiasm is completely infectious. And for you at home, thank you for logging on and taking this journey with us. If you have any questions for next time, please drop them in the comments. I can't wait to see you this time next week. Thank you all, and goodbye.
Hi, I'm Nobuntu Webster. I'm an entrepreneur. I moved to Sandton to pursue a dream. I've based myself in Sandton because it's the gateway to Africa. The neighborhood of Sandton is alive. It's alive with possibility. It's got the most amazing vibe. If you need to get anything done, this is the place to get it done. One of the things I really love about Sandton is how it lights up at night. If those lights don't inspire you, nothing will. Sandton is the richest square mile in Africa. It has everything, from shopping in Sandton City to 5-star hotels like immaculate for my international guests. It works for me to be here. There are so many designer stores. There's an abundance of clothes and everything else to choose from. Being an entrepreneur, I travel a lot, so it's really convenient to be able to get onto the Gau train, and in 15 minutes, I'm at the airport. Business is important to me, but my family is everything, and that's why my family and I are looking to move into one of the suburbs in Sandton. Sandton has some of the most exclusive homes in the country, in places like Hyde Park and Sandown. A little bit less fast-paced is your suburbs like Bryanston and Rivonia. Bryanston was a natural choice. It's got great open spaces, it's safe. My son's already at a really good school there. Sandton gives me great variety, from an awesome nightlife to beautiful places for lunch to spas where I can really relax and recharge. Things happen in Sandton, and that's my neighborhood.
Besides the beautiful beaches, sunny skies and how central everything is, what I really love about Umhlanga is the people. You can't help but become immersed in the culture, and you'll find people connecting in the most authentic spaces. It's just got this vibe to it. It's hard to think that only a few years ago, these business parks and homes were mostly sugarcane. The rate that this area has been developed at is truly mind-blowing. Especially with the fast pace of life these days, we really pride ourselves in being that bright spot in a person's day. You'll see everything from advocates and CEOs to creatives and students who pop into our spot for that short moment to escape. There's just so much life and energy in this area, and after a hectic week, there's nothing better than stopping in at Mount Edgecombe Country Club for a relaxed round of golf. The beauty and serenity that the estate offers really inspires me. There's honestly no place I'd rather live. That's my Umhlanga.